this.
Call the December meeting of the Huntington Township Planning Commission to order. First item of business is approval of minutes of the November meeting. Has everybody had a chance to read those minutes?
Roxy, did you make those corrections?
Yes, Tom had just some spelling corrections on
Okay.
names, so I had changed that.
Okay. Is there any other additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for record as corrected.
I'll make that.
Go ahead. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Marvin, second by Tom. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Next item, Gus, is your report.
Yeah, let me find it on here. We'll start with 1123, building permit to Kirby Martin at 10 Wyman's Mill Road. He's removing their laundry and replacing it with new laundry in a kitchen. I issued an occupancy permit to a house on Old Harrisburg Road. The address dropped off of this. They finished an 8x12 front porch. I issued a building permit to Austin Clayberg at 345 Farmview Road for a 37 by 48 foot addition with a 7 by 44 foot porch. This is a young fella. He built that house on 6 acres. He built the garage with living quarters above it, and now he's putting the house, which is a good sized building, on the attached to it. Darren Alleman on Old Harrisburg Road, he's repairing an existing front porch. He's going right down to the footers that hold the pillars, and that's why that requires a building permit instead of a waiver. Chad Reinhardt, we approved a rooftop solar for this house, and whenever they do that, they have to certify that the roof can take the load, and their engineer certified it. And then when they got up there, they discovered that it needed a new roof. And so I questioned if the engineer looked at it, how come he didn't see that? But anyway, I did issue him a waiver so they can replace the roof before they put the solar on. I also issued a permit to Garmin Builders at 115 Tammy Drive for a 2-story single-family dwelling on that lot. And that's it on the permits. I had a lot of action with, and we'll get into that a little later. Had a lot of conversations with a lot of people. One of them is here with us tonight. He's on the agenda. And so we'll get to that.
All right.
That's all I have for you.
Scott, your engineer's report.
Greenbrier Road culvert replacement, construction is underway. If you guys want to come take a look at it, I encourage you to do so. If you want to meet, for me to meet you there on site, I can do that too. Myerstown Road culvert.
Scott, what's the timing of completion scheduled on that Greenbrier?
Probably April, What's that?
Yeah, it'll be April or May.
Okay.
The road surface, is that done right now? I mean, is it, you can go on
Oh,
the driveway?
no.
Okay.
They're just putting in the foundation for the
Okay.
culvert now. Myerstown Road, I submitted just over a month ago, so I should be receiving my first round of comments any day. With Rolling Road, DEP came back with 2 more comments today. I went and made the changes and got it back in today. I requested a little urgency in the review because it's been a while and the road is damaged, so it needs fixed. Update on the Saldo, that's continuing. I did an inspection on lot 52 at Flowing Springs last week. And plans that are under review are the JVI group. Received a sketch plan for the Diller property as they're starting a PennDOT application process. And a stormwater management plan for a single-family residence for Austin Claybaugh. I issued a round of comments to them, and their engineer, GHI, is working on responding to those. That's just a stormwater plan, it's not a land development, so it won't come before you.
Scott, is that Diller property, is that one there beside where all the sheds and stuff are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's all my report.
Do you have the plan to show us on that, the sketch plan for Diller? We haven't seen that, have we?
I just received a PDF of it, I didn't receive a paper copy.
Okay. Can you send the PDF to somebody, Roxy or Gus, to send to us? I'd like to see it. Thanks.
It's just a highway occupancy permit, isn't
Yeah, their application for a scoping meeting goes through to PennDOT and it automatically kicks to the township. So that's where they are. They're just starting on the process. And when the township got that notification, it didn't come with any plans or anything. So I asked their engineer for a copy of the sketch plan.
Good.
So,
Okay.
Any other questions for Scott? Thanks, Scott. Moving on, we got old business. JVI extension good until February 6th, but I think we discussed last month that
the way the meetings fall? I spoke to Dave, their engineer, today, and he said that they'll have a submission in next week because they're modifying the NPDS plan, enlarging it and to update it, and they have the paperwork, it'll be ready for it next week, and then they'll give us an extension. They'll take them up to May just to cover the land development plan and the highway occupancy permit, which they're arguing about. It's about that third driveway for trucks, and I don't know, everything with PennDOT seems to take a lot of time. But anyway, it is a work in progress, and he'll have a submission, and they'll give us an extension which we'll pass on to the supervisors. They're gonna miss our meeting tonight, but it'll be here in time before the supervisors to review it and accept it. And
Okay, in October, we made a motion to, an extension of 6 months to recommend to the Board of Supervisors. And then last month, we talked about it again and reminded that there was that motion in October, and it still has not gone to the Board of Supervisors, has it?
Mhm.
Okay.
And that,
And then at the last meeting?
It's been to them right after that meeting.
that was, I don't think we're talking about the same extension. So one was an extension of the land development plan, and 2 is a different extension at this point, right? Because we're up against the time frame, or they're up against.
Well, they're always up against the time frame,
Right,
unless they grant us an extension.
right.
If,
So the October one was, correct me if I'm wrong, was us granting them an extension on the land development plan, right? Because we still don't have a final land development plan.
no, that's still.
So we were giving them an extension,
Mhm.
right?
No, they're giving us one.
That's now,
That was also then.
okay.
The
Well, then I'm
applicant,
as confused as Roxy is. then.
we're under the
Yeah.
ordinance that we have 90 days to review a plan,
Right.
unless they grant us an extension.
Okay, but we don't have a
Right.
plan to review.
No, but that's
They didn't file a plan yet.
We,
not yet.
Because they
well,
didn't file a plan.
the planning commission has to have the plan before the supervisors.
We do have a plan. It was submitted 6 or 8 months ago when this all started.
That motion,
We
we
have a plan.
Had it
It's just,
6
it hasn't
months.
been in front of the board in a while because they're working through permits and stuff.
Okay,
That's why we giving them an extension of time.
we
But
have,
I'm saying is, we voted to recommend to the Board of Supervisors a
Yeah.
6-month extension, and it never went before the board.
on that February meeting.
So
on
we're
February date.
still seeing extension good to February 6th.
Yeah, and last month I pointed out that, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we didn't act on something tonight, wouldn't give the supervisors enough time to act on it before it ran out.
Correct.
That's,
Is that right?
that's the way I would look at it.
Well, what's gonna happen now? They're not gonna be before us, before the supervisors.
That's where I was heading. I mean, the final plan is due before,
For your meeting.
yeah,
Yeah.
which means that we would not get to see the final plan, correct?
You
But we're
will-
not
No,
to
you-
that
you
point.
do.
We're talking about extensions.
that extension, I'll present it to the supervisors at the January meeting, which is in the beginning of the month.
Is that, are we talking about 2 different extensions, or is it all the same extension?
To me, it's all one.
Well, then we should have the extra 6 months past the February date, correct? If we approved it in October.
but the supervisors didn't approve it.
No, I understand.
It never
Yeah.
went before them.
Okay.
Because it didn't get before them. So I think I'm at Roxy's point where we did our part. It should have gone before the supervisors. I don't know that we have anything else to do right now.
No,
And-
you don't, because that extension is good for 6 months or up until February. The only
Yes,
problem
6
is,
months isn't February.
We added
No.
on to that.
well, it'll take you up to the 4th month, which is April. But
But if it
anyway,
hasn't come
I've got-
before the Board of Supervisors, wouldn't it be from the date that they approve it?
No, I calculated the February 6th date based on their letter requesting the extension.
Okay.
They requested an extension, whatever X amount of time that was, and I counted the days, and it ended up being February 6th.
February 6th.
Well,
That's how
I
we got that
understand that, but when we knew that that February 6th date was coming up, we made a motion and approved it to give them a 6-month extension instead of a 90-day,
90
because we knew instead of them keep coming back, we wanted to give them more time.
Because we knew Pennsylvania wasn't
Yeah.
gonna approve.
Right.
Yep.
So my question now is, if it's gone before the board in January, and they approve it at their January meeting, is that 6 months from then, or 6 months from when we recommended it to the board in October?
It would be from their action, from the Board of Supervisors action.
Unless
Okay.
they change it,
I-
but yes.
So it'd be 6 months from January,
Yeah.
yeah.
The only thing is, they can do it without us. I mean, as far as extension goes, but normally we recommend it.
Mhm.
But it's going to have to skip us, and supervisors have to act on it alone.
Well, we already,
Yeah, in a
we
sense, I think we
already,
did it.
we already
Yeah.
did the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
motion.
You already
Yeah.
did an extension.
Yeah, you did.
We're not against the
No.
extension. It's
Yeah.
not-
You recommend
Yeah, we
Right,
recommend.
we recommend it to the board of
that they
supervisors.
accept it.
Correct.
Yeah,
So I guess Roxy's point, I think, is it should have gone before the supervisors back then.
in November.
Yes.
But we have to make sure that it does
It's got to now.
in
Yeah.
January.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to happen.
Yeah, if you don't act on it in January, it'll go
Yeah.
automatic approved.
Which you
Well-
can't.
When I spoke to Dave, he understands that, and he'll have the paperwork in here toward the end of next week.
Dave.
Their engineer, Habowski.
Okay.
Is that how I pronounce that?
No.
Okay.
I don't remember how to spell his name.
He's Polish.
Okay.
But that'll work as far as the way I see it.
Okay.
All right, just so you and the supervisors are on board, I mean, we're making you aware of what can happen if it doesn't follow through.
Absolutely, and it's out.
Which can't happen. Okay, so,
Which wouldn't be their fault.
no. Here's my question, separate from approvals. They're doing a lot of work over there. And are we confident that that work is in compliance with the arrangement they made to do that work without a land development plan? And who's,
I've been keeping an eye on it. The fill they're putting in is clean fill, which they can do,
yes,
and it looks pretty good. Now evidently, they're going to put in some sort of a basin at the bottom there where it's wet, to take care of the water from up on the hill.
okay. We in essence granted them, the supervisors, granted them the grace to do that with the understanding that if something ended up not being in compliance with the land development plan, they'd have to redo it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of stuff that lawsuits are made of. We have to be very careful that they're not proceeding with something that we would look at later and say, you should have never done that. You spent whatever, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars doing something you shouldn't have done.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to evaluate that now, and I guess, Scott, have you looked at all what they're doing? Is it,
Yeah, I stopped by once this past month.
okay?
Yeah, everything looked fine.
You're okay with everything so far?
Yeah, I submitted a inspection report to Pat.
Okay.
So,
I guess it was they were doing test borings and things up there for the
building.
What, for the building, or
It was
was it for the fill area, or
No, I thought it was for the building,
the building?
the way you described it.
You said they have to do testing for compaction, correct? For
Mhm.
Well, yeah,
non-mount
they
fill?
will, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But just so we're keeping track of what's going on there, I mean, if they don't do the proper procedures there in the construction, I mean, they'll be up against the building permits and things.
Well, they haven't gotten the building permit yet.
Yeah,
Well, they ain't got no showing yet either.
But they can't until the land development.
Exactly, they can't do any of that without a
They
land.
need to put a whole lot more showing before they can think about going.
Okay, I guess what I would ask, Scott, is you keep a close eye on it to make sure that something isn't happening there, because there's a lot happening.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know if they give us a progress report of what they're doing. I don't know if they'll be that, I mean, ask that of them.
That's perfectly reasonable, especially with all this time gone by without a land development.
Well, I'll have Dave in here next planning commission meeting
Okay.
for you.
That would be great. Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion on that JVI? Not second item.
All right, you're on.
Mayor Hill. We really just wanted to meet with the planning commission so that you have a concept of what we're trying to accomplish with that property.
Excuse me, can I ask your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Len Loball.
Oh, okay.
Junior, I guess I should say junior.
Sorry about that
It's
one.
probably a good idea for you guys to turn your name tags around, since you know who you are.
Just preemptive things, just to bring you up to date with where we're at. The site's a mess. So we have contracted a company to go in and grub out the site, clean up crap. There's piles of wood, it's a mess. So pending weather and how quickly they can get started, we want to get the site cleaned up. It's kind of an eyesore and doesn't represent what we want it to represent.
Excuse me, are you doing any clearing and grubbing?
Yes,
Okay, if it exceeds an acre, you have to get an NPDS permit before.
we already got the
Okay.
whatever that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got the renewal and they're with a, what do they call a big revision?
You're
Major
working on a
revision.
major amendment.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Was there more than wood can you define
I guess
a
what
mess?
we're
What's a mess?
clearing out is the fence line. There's some bushes along the road there.
Okay.
That fence.
Yep.
There and just there's a couple of trees around the building, dead trees that we're not going down into the property and clearing out any of those woods out. It's just up front
Right,
to make
right around the building, there's a pile of trees that were
Okay.
pushed down at some point in time. That's a big pile behind the building.
Okay.
We're going to keep the best for appearance purposes, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
garbage there.
Well, I want to make sure it wasn't used for dumping or anything. This is natural materials that
Yeah,
are
it's,
there?
it's
Okay.
all wood.
All right.
That pile, from what we can see from the surface,
Okay.
it's all trees pushed in a pile.
Okay.
So we do intend to try and clean up pending weather as quickly as possible. The property does not have sewage on it, so we've submitted a sewer design to the SEO for the township, and that's in process. That went in last week.
the
Yeah.
process is started on that. Yeah.
So our intent is to try and make the building functional for what's there for the time being. And what we want to try and do is give you a heads up on what's coming. I'm gonna take all this, I just need, there's phase 3, right?
Well, there's 4.
Do they all the same, Jeff?
Excuse me again, do you have copies to leave with the township?
We can leave these. We are going to land develop this property at, we'll say a 10-year plan. We're not going to build everything in one fell swoop. This is actually what we need short term, which is some office space built next to the building that's there.
Point to that, this is the building
This
that's
is the
there.
existing building.
Okay, and you're gonna build this one?
Well, no, just this little connector in
Okay.
between, which will be offices,
All right,
with another warehouse structure somewhere down the road. I would say in the next 2 to 3 years. The third building, or phase 3 of this project, will be a decision. We're going to go ahead and land development for it, but long term, we're using the term LCDM. It's actually L-Cube Corporation, which has several business units. TAM Systems is our contract division, with the intent of creating another building in the future to move TAM Systems there, so all businesses would be on the same property in 2 separate structures. Basically, it will really only affect the property right along White Oak Road. We have wetlands in the back. We have some restrictions on probably 20 acres of the 29 acres that my grandson's telling me we're going to have a blind down in there till next year. But for some reason, 9 people think there's a good reason to be down in there because there's 9 tree stands right around the property.
it's a strong hunting area.
But our long-term plan is to create all our business units on that property, the TAM Systems and the LCDM. We do have some restrictions we're looking at, but we're going to land develop based on the long-term plan.
Have you perked?
We have 2 perks. We have
Did you do them yourself, or are you going off the priors?
They were existing perks. There's one here, and then there's a little piece of property that goes back there. Has a secondary. Yeah. So that is really our long-term plan. We've already actually started land development, but we need the functioning space. That process is a year to 18-month process anywhere, and we need this space to keep our business operating on the LCDM side. We can't abandon our Dillsburg location for LCDM, so it'll be splitting our group up a little bit, the LCDM business unit up a little bit, but I would like in 2 to 3 years to have LCDM on this property. And then TAM, we're not really on a schedule on that. It'll be when the timing's right. When the interest rates aren't quite so high.
Can you email a copy of this presentation, please?
Yes.
Are you gonna be able to use the well that's there? Is that your plan?
That is our intent, yes. There's no pump in it. We can't test it or see what flow is or anything, and we haven't dropped a pump down that well yet.
I'd suggest you verify everything that you've been told exists there.
You know, it rained the other week. We saw some things that,
Probably surprised you a little bit.
yeah.
You have the lid off the well to see if the lid is stamped.
We did look to see who
It's
the
not
well
stamped.
drilled. No,
Okay.
Who did, who knows well?
no. And truthfully, don't have a lot of desire to communicate with those people to find out.
Well,
Understood.
No, we are double checking everything
just don't trust
because
what the past owners
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah.
please.
the structure of the building, it's a good building.
Yeah.
There's some shortcuts that we're taking that are going to have to be addressed, but it's still a good building.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
All right,
Thank you.
that's good to know, keep us informed and what, like
Yeah.
that.
We're happy you bought it, believe it.
I wasn't happy when it was pouring the other week, I can tell you that.
So that addition on there, that'd be your first, that's gonna be your first.
Yeah, we need
step.
the office space. Right now, we currently work at our business location on Range End Road.
Yeah.
We lease space in Dillsburg. So we've got things spread out for LCDM pretty lean. So we're gonna be pretty aggressive trying to get our office space isn't fancy office space, it's functional office space. But we're gonna want that 2,500 square feet as quick as we can move the process along.
This could consolidate your operation all in one spot then pretty much, eventually.
Eventually, yes. It was our intent to do the same thing in where we're at right now. We bought 4.5 acres next door. Unfortunately, the infiltration of the soils there took about 50% of that property just to build a stormwater retention pond. And our building kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it no longer made sense.
How many people are gonna be in that office structure?
8 or 9. Yeah.
And when do you hope to have them in?
As quick as we can get through the process. We obviously we have designs to get done.
Yeah, there's a lot
and
to do.
we've got the whole process to work, but
Once them are there and you bring the other people in, how many people are gonna be at the warehouse or the fab shop or whatever you're gonna put there? How many total people are you gonna be working on that?
well, we designed a septic system
Sewage system.
for 30, but we'll never be at 30.
Okay. That's clear.
I have a tendency to overcompensate on septic system designs a little bit.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Gus, was there anything else?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Are you a neighbor, Tom?
Yes,
What is?
let me show you. Come on up, I'll show you. Not much of one. This is my property, right there.
Oh, I thought there's a
No,
house back in
that's
here.
John McDonough.
Okay.
Super guy, great neighbor. Happy to have you as a neighbor. This is me.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, we were walking that on Saturday. I don't know what the motivation is to put that many tree stands that close to the property line, but there
Well,
must be
I'll
something.
tell you what was happening. This neighbor had tree stands along here. And when this person bought it, he wouldn't let this guy take down his tree stands because they were on his property. So it was complicated. Let's just leave it there. So there are more tree stands than there are people.
They would not even sit in the same room with us in settlement.
Who would, pass on? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The attorney ran back and forth between two
Oh, for
conference
Lord's
rooms,
sake.
conference rooms for
That
2
doesn't,
hours.
somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And I'm going to visit every neighbor and just let them know
Good
that
idea.
I've already talked to Jamie next door.
Yeah.
James, I think and
Depending on what day it is.
Yeah, we've had a conversation. We're going to focus on where we want to actually put our buildings and the rest of the property. Just nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
If I put a garden back there, I live in the woods, I can't grow anything, but if I can find a good spot for a
There's a
garden.
lot of water.
Yeah.
You've seen that already. Won't have to water
Get dry.
But,
Well, good, welcome.
thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you guys.
Have a good Christmas, guys. Thank you.
Merry
Thanks.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Go on to salary revision, next item. Or you want to flip that?
Yeah, to the end,
All right.
because we got Mr. Kunkel here.
All right. So, that'd be first item in the new businesses. It was 508 Mud Run Road, is that it?
That's it. you guys are probably driven by this place a lot. It's on the corner of Mud Run Road and Ficus School Road. And it's the old schoolhouse. It's a brick schoolhouse on the corner. There used to be goats there. Used to jump up on the roofs of their sheds and look at you. Well, the gentleman has sold the property. It doesn't have septic, it doesn't have water, but it has a well. You gotta do this.
Okay.
And Mr. Kunkel is interested in purchasing it. And what he'd like to do is, he doesn't want to live in the schoolhouse because there's nothing to flush in there. Well, you stand up and tell
I'm about to
him.
stand. All right.
Well,
All right, I'll stand. I
Come
don't
have a
need
seat.
that. Huh? No. Well, I'm Brian Kunkel, and my wife and I have to move because my family farm, there was 5 of us brothers and sisters, and my family farm is now, I want to take over a 161-acre farm, but now I'm not allowed, according to my family members. We won't get into that. It was $8,000 later in lawyer costs, and now I'm being forced out and terminated from my family farm. That was my mom's farm. But anyways, so this guy down here at the schoolhouse, I know this guy personally, and he said, hey, I got a lot for you. You can build a building, you can build a house. I just purchased it from a man. We bought it from him. He didn't like the neighbor across the road. He just put a new house across the road. And he goes, I'm selling it and I'm moving to Perry County. Well, little did he know, 3 days after he moved, he loaded his car up with $90,000 in cash, and he died at the Sheetz gas station between here and Perry County somewhere. We don't know where it was. But when they found him, the $90,000 was gone, his dog was gone, and he was dead in the car. And that's it. He never made it to Perry County. So I don't even know what the guy's name was, but that's what happened. And so anyways, this guy named Norm bought the property, and now I'm thinking about purchasing the property just to get out of where I'm at, because I only have a couple months to live there yet. And on my mom's family farm, which if you want to call it family, but anyways, so now I want to build a house on the land, and I want to build a shed. And then I was talking to him about stormwater, where how much driveway, it's 2.5 acres. And then the schoolhouse came into effect. If I build a new house, do I have to keep the schoolhouse? Or since there's 2 dwellings on the property, do I have to tear the schoolhouse down? But since it's a historic landmark, but it's not a 1-room schoolhouse anymore, it has a 2nd floor inside and everything. And I guess the guy turned it from a 1-room schoolhouse years ago, and it has no septic. Now, before I went through this, I told the homeowner, can you drill the perk holes to make sure it is perks? And they did that, and that's as far as he went. He said, it's perked. I'm not paying for a sand mound. That's all your thing. So we know it perked at the front corner out there near Ficus Road, and I'm just wondering if I have to leave the schoolhouse or I have to tear it down, since there'll be 2 dwellings on the property, because I asked him and he wasn't quite sure. He said, come to this meeting and give your presentation. And that's all I have.
Is the schoolhouse a designated historic landmark, or somebody just said it seems like a historic landmark?
it is. It's one of the old schoolhouses.
Okay, but what's the designation? Do we have?
There's no historic
It's an
designation.
old schoolhouse.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you.
I guess my question is, if he builds a house and no one is gonna live in the schoolhouse and you restore it, that isn't a dwelling then, is it?
No. But that's the question. Does he have to keep the schoolhouse? Can he take it down? There is no historic designation to it. Other
So
than the
my
fact,
question is, what do you want to do with it?
yeah.
That's the question. It's still yet to be decided.
Oh,
If we
okay.
build a new house and the schoolhouse looks like crap, because it needs like $50,000, it needs all new windows, there's no windows
So
upstairs.
what you're thinking about is doing away with the schoolhouse.
I would
In
say,
reality.
I would probably, and that was the question that he brought up. Usually if you put a new dwelling on a property,
Mhm.
you have to tear the old dwelling down.
Mhm.
You can't leave it stand, you have to have it down within 30 days.
Oh.
And that's why I'm here, because I wasn't sure if you guys would want the schoolhouse to stay. I really don't want the schoolhouse, but if I was forced to keep it, from you guys or forced that it has to stay for?
If it's
If
not
it's
on
been
a
a
historic
designation,
register,
Then you
don't see
take
how-
down.
I
if
think
it's
the
not
first
on a
you would hear
historic
about it.
register,
No, I don't think so either.
don't think
I
there's
don't-
anybody telling you can't do
No.
it.
Andy, do you want
Yeah.
to make any county comments on this?
Well, from what I understand, even if there's something is listed on a register, historic district register, if it's on private property, the owner of the property can demolish it at will,
Okay.
regardless of whether it's on the register. I believe that's what I've been told. Now, whether that's the way it should be or not, that's a whole different
Yeah.
story. But
Yeah.
that's what we've always understood is that as long as the owner of the property themselves are removing it, and there's no
Yeah, restriction.
government money involved in it, can do whatever they want.
Now, who at the courthouse would he have to contact to find out for certain?
I have a staff person in my office who
Okay.
does historic preservation work, who I can have her look into it and see if there is anything there. I'm almost positive, because she's told me this in the past, that if he decides he wants to take it down, being on a register isn't going to stop him.
Okay.
So,
Andy, I know,
would put it that way.
I know one thing, if anything, any permits, like state permits, like DEP permits, you get stuck getting review of
Potentially.
existing buildings on your property.
Potentially.
Potentially,
I don't think it's on the national, it's probably not on the National Register. If anything, it would probably be on either
County.
state or
Yeah.
some sort of resource that the Historic Museum Commission identified in something years ago. I can have Jenna check and see and let Gus know, and he can let you know. But the only thing I can think of is if it's on some list, like you said, maybe there's a perm, but most of that that's not going to stop it.
Yeah.
It's just going to add another piece of paperwork to do. And if it's in its deteriorated shape, unless there's something very specific that is on the National Register, it's unlikely to save money. I mean, it'd be nice to retain them, but
Yeah.
at some point, if they're
Beyond.
beyond saving,
Yeah.
if you have to change it so much to make it usable.
That was the other question. It's like, what do I do with it once I have it there? And I have a new house. Like,
Right,
I can't.
maybe.
I don't want to. My wife said something. Well, can we hook the new house to the schoolhouse?
Yeah.
But it's only 4 feet off the road. And,
Oh.
and the house that I want to build, I want to put it over here
Yeah.
in the middle of the property.
Right.
Yeah, you're too far.
But it's over here at the edge of the property, and you'd have a 80-foot breezeway probably in between.
Yeah.
Doesn't your
To
wife
connect
need a
it.
she
Because
shed?
you said about if I connect it, I can, but I just can't.
What are you talking about as far as square footage between the house and your pole barn you're gonna put up here?
The pole shed I'd want to put in the back.
Yes.
I think I was gonna put like maybe a 5,000 square foot house, or not 5. Let me rephrase. 5,000 total between the shed and the house total, and then I have to design a stormwater pit, and then I have the driveways that I talked to you about, and we have to add them in. But then I didn't know what I do with the schoolhouse later on, like if you can't live in it, because you can't live in it.
It's not worth anything really in reality.
And I have to put so much money in that you won't get anything out of it. I can't rent it because I don't want any neighbors that close. I don't want any neighbors 70 feet away from it.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing to do with it. That's why I wanted to know with you guys if there's
If you can demolish it,
yeah.
Well, save the bricks.
How old is the schoolhouse, do you know? Has anybody estimated?
It's a later schoolhouse because it's brick. The older schoolhouses were all wood.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe 1860 to 1900 maybe. I don't know the age of the school.
You didn't go to school there, did you?
No. But it's been there ever since I can remember.
Oh, well, yeah. Well,
Well, I guess.
Stevens used
Paul
to live
goes
there.
I can't remember that far back.
Paul Geis, yeah, Paul might know.
Yeah.
I remember old lady Goldie Stevens lived in there.
Yes, I was gonna say,
Is that where
somebody
the
lived
school at?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently
Goldie
without
Stevens.
water or,
Sewer.
Well, back
There's no sewer, there's no water, all there's
Most
electric.
of the old days.
yeah,
in the
yeah.
70s.
I mean, I
Sewer was the outlet.
can remember our bus going,
yeah.
You didn't find anything on the beams anywhere.
No, I usually up in the peak or something like that, they have a date
Yeah.
sticking.
Floor joist.
There's nothing there. And the floor joist, like, if it was a one-room school, somebody added the second floor in there, so they covered it all up with drywall, so you really don't know anything.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The house up there, they had a poster that
Yeah,
Kyle worked on, they had a poster laid in on the floor joist.
yeah, had to date it.
Yeah, where they put it was the builder's name, they put it, the poster that when they put the floor down, they had it in there and then nailed the floor down.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Brian, is your last name L-E or E-L?
L.E.
L-E,
Yeah.
okay.
I can think about, probably about 3 old schoolhouses that are preserved in the township. Look, you got one,
I love my schoolhouse. Oh my
Brick, is
God.
it brick?
Millers.
and then
No, it's
Miller,
wood. It
you
was
know,
over 63
The one in
established.
and the
Wyman's
one on South Ridge, the
Sunbridge
one,
Road.
corner of South Ridge and Wyman Mill.
It's probably about 4
Yeah.
or 5 in that
There's
township.
probably more, a couple more.
There's one on Oxford up above us.
These are,
I'll
They've been-
have my staff look into it.
Oxford is that near Rock Chapel.
Yes.
Yeah,
Give me
there's a
contact.
schoolhouse.
That's
there.
up with
Email something for
Yeah,
her.
that's
now, the
where
old
Mom.
gun club used to be a
Miami.
schoolhouse, I think, out there. The old, you know, now it's a church in there.
Church?
That was,
I think
I
so.
always remember it as a gun club.
Yeah, it was,
I
yeah.
don't know of it before that.
Oh, yeah, the one in Gun Club was a schoolhouse.
That was a schoolhouse before the gun club, I think.
Yeah. And there's a school, well, that's not in Huntington, never mind.
Yeah,
The one
But I
on
don't-
Latimer.
yeah, you have to check in to see if there's anything historical connected with it.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure, because if I decide I'm still gonna build, I still wanna build a house there, if the guy gives me a permit. But I just need to know about the schoolhouse. I can
Yeah.
let it stand, but if I let it stand, I'm gonna have to fix it up and put windows in, the guy built, whoever did it, they built a piece, the wing on the one end, and when you stand in the kitchen and look out, there's a 3-inch gap that you can see daylight. So I guess he didn't have any building codes or anything.
when he did
The
that.
whole wing settled and the roof is away at the top and you can see daylight beat the band out. So, and also there's 25 buildings there, goat sheds, chicken sheds, that he probably never got a permit, and I want to get them all and take them all down and burn them in a hole there somewhere. But it's another cleanup project. But
No, it needs it.
yeah.
Pretty building.
Yeah.
And maybe once you get all the old buildings down around the schoolhouse, maybe it'll shed a new light around it. I don't know. You just can't tell right now because the trees are overgrown in the front. The wing makes it look ugly, and the sheds around it are in bad shape. So I guess all you need is a demo permit to take all that stuff down, right?
Well, $90,000 might be in that
Oh,
building.
I might be looking.
Yeah, that's probably where he hid the money down in the basement. Yeah, but they never found it.
Oh, okay.
I'll have my staff see what they can find.
That's fine.
If they can find anything.
If I have to leave it up, I'll leave it up. I just need to know ahead of time. That's all. That's fine.
I'll have her. Also summarize what's the-
Okay, yeah.
It's good to
You're
check
right,
into
yeah.
it ahead of
Oh
time.
my gosh, I didn't realize that.
No,
I hate to lose something historic.
Yeah, I hate to see it,
717.
but if it's not considered a dwelling,
577.
I
then
know.
that should
We have
exist
that,
as 2
yeah,
houses.
I know.
Yep.
Dwelling rule.
Brian, right?
Yep. I called and talked to you.
Well,
I know.
And I wasn't sure what to do, so that's
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
Yeah, all right.
something like that.
If he
This
wants,
would be a
if he
reason.
wants to
Fine.
preserve it
Yeah.
and decides to keep it,
Yeah,
you know, we can,
yeah. So let's see what the rules are and then go from
All right.
All right.
there. Good luck, Brian.
I would like to move ahead to, just like Mr. Lowball said, we gotta find a place, and I might have possibly 2 to 3 months, and maybe I'll have to live in a schoolhouse for a while, I don't know. I hate to say it. I don't know where else to live, so.
You might come to love it.
Or hate it.
They're built to last, though.
Yeah.
They really are.
You're
Not that way, though.
gonna be on a very, very bad list.
Yeah,
You might be living out in one of the sheds.
I might.
All right.
All right.
Moving on to the next, Echo Housing.
That is just, if you look at them papers I gave you, I have several topics written on there. That's for next year. There is,
Yeah.
there are a couple concerns that I have. Echo Housing for one thing.
And what is that?
That's like if, how old are you? 70. Well, you're old enough to qualify. If your daughter said, you know, Dad is getting a little shaky, and we want to build a little shed for him to live on our property.
A trailer.
A trailer or something.
For you.
They could do that, but the understanding is that then when you're gone, they gotta move it. It's gotta
Yeah,
leave.
it's not an ADU, in other words.
Right.
It's not meant to be one.
Exactly. And
So that's what that's called.
Yeah.
what I'd like to do is rewrite what's in our zoning ordinance in such a way that it's very clear. Every time I get into this discussion with people, it gets, wanders all over the countryside, and it's gotta be clear that the understanding that is, when the parents are gone, it goes. And,
There's a place in Latimer that has not been.
yeah, well,
Well, there's a lot of them.
There's
What
one.
does
There's one I know
what's the acronym stand
There's
for?
one on Old
It's not
Harrison.
an
The ECHO, it
It's
is
not
no,
an acronym.
it's not an acronym?
Echoes back your rest of your family.
yeah.
Yeah.
There are a couple of rules that go along with it. Number one, you have to use the existing septic system that's on the property and the existing well.
Yes.
That way, no one says, I had to spend
Right.
$30,000 for a septic system. They don't have to worry about perk. But the point is that once the parents are gone, it goes.
And it doesn't have to be parents. It could be a disabled child.
Well, yeah.
There's- Our definition, I read our definition before the meeting. I think our definition's good.
Yeah, but we just need to put some
Tighten up the
structure
actual
around it.
code. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that's number one. What else do I have on my list
You
there?
have Airbnbs. which-
Airbnbs, all right? Just last week, I got 2 calls from 2 different agencies. These Airbnbs, I don't see them, we have 2 in the township right now that I know of. One's on Willow Lane, and the other one's over on Blueberry. That has a home and there are other structures that they use for the Airbnb, and they serve you a nice breakfast. However, I've talked to people from Lehigh County, which is at the edge of the Poconos. There are a lot of people from New York who've moved there, and the zoning officers that I met with said, you gotta have a police force, because these people that come in and rent these places for a couple days or a week, they get a little rowdy sometimes. They're college kids that come in, and some of these places, it's almost like a motel. Once someone moves out, someone else moves in, and so you have a rotation of people, strangers coming into a community. Now, if you live on 20 acres of ground and you got a building, or you're gonna go on vacation yourself and you wanna rent your house out for a week or 2, it might be a different situation here because you don't have any close neighbors. However, and some of these guys are telling me that these people, every week, they got a different neighbor living in their house, because these folks are living down in the islands for 6 months or in Florida someplace.
It can be every day you have a different neighbor.
Yeah, it's
It's the
possible.
largest hotel in the world, is
Yeah.
Airbnb, just to be clear.
So, we don't have any regulations on that. And so I'd like us to discuss that and do something with it. The wedding barn that we talked about,
Hang on one second. Yes, Andy?
When you just come back to me when he's done with his list.
Okay.
All right, the other thing, I wrote down there, wedding barn. The one we have is not a problem. I still hear noises about the one down in Franklin County. They have quite a turnover in terms of a lot of people getting married or divorced. But they get a lot of loud music in the evenings, and the neighbors don't like that.
Where's the wedding barn?
Down in Frederick, what, in our town?
Yeah.
It's not in our, that's why, every time you say that, Gus, you drive me crazy. There is a house in our township with a barn that's not in our township, so it's not even our jurisdiction. So the one that Gus says that's our wedding barn, it's not our wedding barn.
It's not a wedding.
But it's the closest as we have to a wedding barn, they have a couple weddings there, it's on 94.
The house is in one.
Across
From Lear Photography.
Yeah, across from the photography.
Yeah.
I
The
forget
house is in our township, the barn is in Latimer.
Oh, it
The township line runs
Yeah,
right
you guys
between the
did.
house and the barn.
I don't think they-
All right, so anyway, it's not our issue, and they do a wonderful job. They would be a prototype for how a wedding barn should be.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. Put it, it's gotta be in another township.
But they only have like 4 or 5 here.
Yeah, they don't have
If
to.
Yeah, if that,
If that.
three,
Yeah.
if that.
They've only had several.
What are
What
you
they do in there?
talking about? In our township?
Up there in Gimpy's old place where they put that new,
Yeah, the new building.
Who's Gimpy?
Across from the school.
Gibby.
You haven't been here 50 years.
Charlie Gibby.
Across from the high school.
Across my.
Okay, now that's our township?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it being used as, for
They hold
functions?
big events in that building.
yeah, they had,
Really?
Yeah.
I saw.
What
it
do
one
they
time.
do there?
They hold, a lot of weekends, they have
I don't
some
know.
kind of events going on inside
A lot
that.
of cars parked
They
there.
work on their trucks in that barn.
Oh, yeah, I know they do.
Yeah?
When they're setting up big tables and all
Yeah.
that. they work on their
Really?
trucks.
With 50
I've
people
never
on the
seen
weekend and.
50. They had a wedding down there probably. Yeah, I know. I don't have a
All right.
problem with it.
So your point is well made. We should have
gotta address
an
some of
ordinance
these
for,
areas.
for a wedding, so they're coming on stronger.
And,
Oh, yeah, we got one of these.
The other is demolition permit.
well, the demo permit, whenever there's a state law that says if you just tear down a commercial building, you have to have notify DEP so they can check for asbestos and all that.
Yeah.
I can understand that in a older commercial building. Here, mostly, we have old sheds, like Mr. Kunkel's gonna tear down. Old houses, we have some old houses I wish they would tear down.
Yeah.
However, when someone demolishes a house or a structure, the only thing I ask is they send me a letter stating what are they gonna do with the debris. I don't want it stuck in a fence row someplace. We have enough of that. And so far, I haven't had any trouble with that. But I think we need something. I looked into some of the other townships in the county, and I downloaded a couple of them. And the two that I downloaded are 8 pages long. That's not what we want. So I'd like it to put some thought into it and write something that we have on paper and the ordinance that would address that issue. What else do I have on my list?
Elevators
Home elevators.
and lifts.
What?
Elevators and lifts.
Oh, the elevator thing, yeah. Some of us are getting a little older and we don't like stairs. And now they're making elevators that you can put into a house.
There's electric power.
Well, they're actually.
Yeah, they're lifts.
They're
They're just,
actually,
Yeah.
they're actually hydraulic lifts.
well, they're
Well, some of
electric.
them.
They're electric. So,
There's no, it's not an elevator per se.
no, correct. And actually, they're not even called elevators.
Yeah,
They're called lifts, although
it's a
some people have
hydraulic lift.
elevators in their house.
And they have a small
They
line.
have a small electric
Yeah,
motor,
but-
sometimes they're on house
Yeah.
line, sometimes they're on 240. But I've been studying this and actually went to see one down in Lake Heritage. And very impressive. And it solves a problem for this woman. Her husband almost instantly became handicapped. They didn't want to leave the house, all the stuff we'd hear about, but they needed to be able to transport him from the garage up to their first floor. And they put in this really slick lift, and really these days, an elevator is a big deal. Equipment room, high voltage, all that stuff. These lifts are, yeah, that's a good point. These lifts are slick, and they're basically, you don't need a footing, you got a hole in the floor, but I think we ought to eventually have something on it, because they do require a contractor who knows what they're doing and such. So that's why I brought it to Jess's attention that we should put, I'd call it home lift, but certainly if somebody's putting an elevator in, we ought to have something for that, even more so, but these lifts, we should have something.
There's a lot to these things, because if you read, those of you who get the AARP magazine, they got ads in there for some of those are actual elevators.
Yeah, some of them.
And, they got the car, the fail-safe, and the
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, you could have some guy who throws a cable up over a pulley and hooks it to a winch and a car battery and gets stuck between floors.
I think the lift
Doesn't sound too much. Sounds very creative.
Well, the one Tom showed me is 3 floors.
3x3 or 3x4,
that's all.
and you can do them over 3 floors.
Well, anyway,
Yeah,
those are for next year.
yeah.
I put down, all right?
Yes,
Uh,
good, thank you, Gus.
The other thing we gotta do before we start with Andy is I sent you the dates for next year. And the 3 months that we gotta discuss, everything is the 4th Monday of the month. The first one is May 9, could be the 3rd Monday or the 4th Wednesday, because the Memorial Day that year
It's
is
always the fourth.
the 4th, Monday is the 28th. So we need to make a decision there. November, I didn't see any problem with November 24th. That's Monday, and Thanksgiving would be that Thursday. In December, it's Monday, December 22nd. And then Christmas would be the same as this year, the 25th.
They didn't change it.
And it's your decision on what you want to do.
I'd rather keep it a Monday in May and make it the 19th.
Yeah, I agree. Make it the third Monday.
All right, so you want to,
December, I don't see any trouble, because next year Christmas will be on.
all right, hold on.
Yeah,
So Monday the 19th then?
yeah.
All
And
right.
everything else as you have it. So
Everything else,
All right, then we leave it the way it is.
Yeah.
All right, anybody want to make a motion so we get that on the record?
I'll make it.
Now I made a motion, is there a second to that?
Second it.
Second by Kyle. Kyle, second.
Okay, whatever.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that can go into for advertisement then. along
Yep,
with-
that's
along
going
with
to
the
be
supervisor.
approved at
Once the
the
supervisor's approved, you have to approve it at your
supervisory
reorg
meeting.
meeting. You have to approve it at the reorg meeting. Yeah. Then it can be advertised.